Hi everyone, I'm Johanna Sher, Head of Coaching Services at Possibilities Global, and I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome you all to this session. Today, you are not just attending another session. In fact, you're entering a conversation that could transform the direction of your professional life. We are going to explore the deeper purpose behind one of the world's most impactful coaching programs, the Global Coach
Seriously.
Certification Program.
Yeah,
Did
please,
you say
please go
something?
ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, I was
Okay.
a little elevated when you said one of the finest
All
global
right.
games.
Okay. And who better to guide us through this than the visionary behind the movement, an international award winning coach, the best selling author, and founder of GCCP, a man whose vision is not just to certify coaches or just to coach leaders, but to awaken leaders, change agents, and purpose driven professionals worldwide. Our today's session is called The Why Behind the Coaching Certification. And it's for those of you who feel a pull toward coaching, mentoring, leading, and transforming others, not just as a profession, but as a legacy. By the end of this conversation, you'll have clarity on whether this journey is yours to take. So stay present, stay curious, and most importantly, stay open to the possibilities that might unfold for you today. So let's meet Qaiser, none other than, and let's make the session more powerful. Hello, Qaiser, how are you?
I'm deeply impressed. I love the way you opened up this conversation. You're very clear, articulative, and spot on.
That
Well
means a
done.
lot.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
excellent.
This comes from you, by the way.
I'm very impressed, I must say.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, and I've been anticipating this conversation with you. And
Okay,
see, I'm ready. I'm even wearing a
good.
tie today because my guru, Dr. Marshall Goldsmith, taught me, I think in 2014-15, when I was getting the certification through him, he taught me
Mhm.
the day you wear a suit and a tie and you meet a chief executive for a possible coaching assignment, you can actually charge a higher fee.
Hmm.
So wearing a suit and a tie for male coaches is a surest sign to be able to position themselves in the minds of the people that they meet, specifically the senior leaders and the chief executives. I'm somebody I generally do not wear a tie, but I just wanted to create this statement for today's session. So when you meet chief executives, come a little more prepared.
What a great tip. I would say that is for free. I would say.
Yeah.
So, it's a great tip.
And for the female coaches, wear a great scarf and show up in the best attire that you have, and you got to look absolutely professional.
Oh, perfect. So, guys, this is a free tip. Note it down right away. Uh, right. So, let's get into the question answer session now. Kessler, you've coached world leaders, CEOs, and change makers across continents. Why did you feel the need to launch this global coach certification program?
Yeah, just to clarify, a very small portion of the global CEOs, and there are miles to go. Uh, I've just looks like I've just begun my journey only yesterday. And you said GCCP, meaning the Global Coach Certification Program, is one of the best in the world. It may not be one of the best in the world, but this is one of those programs which is constantly being refined. So this is most frequently updated and most rigorously designed, one of the most uh, really something that I consistently work on. And since for the last 2, 3 years, you've been at the possibilities and you've been seeing it. So even one of the tiniest or the smallest portions of the program that we are communicating, it constantly goes through my own eyes. So I look into it and I see whether this is the right thing. So every time, whether it's being offered in a private stream to one executive coach at a time, or is it being given to the entire class of 2025 people? I continue to refine and improve my materials. And I believe I'm an artist. And every single time I stand up in front of the audiences, whether it is one individual or a group of people, I feel it's a privilege. And I sense this massive sense of responsibility on my shoulders. And then this responsibility allows me to be sleepless, to go extra mile and to work harder. So to summarize, this may not be one of the best programs globally. But yes, the materials and the content that I create, it's truly world class. And I continue to benchmark it against some of the finest programs in the world. It may not be as famous as some other programs because we've recently started getting some visibility globally. And you and I, we should be very clear, specifically when we share our credentials with our global audiences. We don't need to overpromise. We don't need to pretend what we are not. Yeah, we have a great program in terms of what we have created over the last 10, 15 years. And this is not as famous as some of the finest programs in the world, but we're getting there. So our coaching brand is not as um, highly perceived globally as Dr. Marshall's or Marcia Reynolds or some of the finest executive coaches who offer these programs. But as I said, we're getting there. Yeah, working harder. That's our
Yeah.
USP.
Right. Very well explained, I must say.
Hmm.
And if we move forward, what specific gap in the coaching industry were you aiming to fill? When you announced or launched this program, what was in your mind at that time?
Right. And like a great interviewer, um, you must be thinking why I didn't answer your first question completely. So,
Okay.
why did I start this program? So, I think I need to begin here. So, in in a small number, I've been coaching executives around the globe. I've had the privilege to coach chief executives. These days, all 100% of my clients in coaching, they are chief executives of large organizations, of MNCs. And recently, last year, we started coaching identified successors of chief executives. So the idea of CEO Academy that the world is aware of. So this idea even was not my own. Now, let me tell you publicly, it came from one of the clients that I was closely working with. So they came up with this fantastic idea and they gave me their future chief executive, who was at that time identified as a future successor for the current CEO. And they said, instead of just coaching the chief executives, why can't you take up somebody who is not a chief executive today, but surely our next CEO? So I took the assignment, and my client actually suggested, why don't you start a coaching academy? Why don't you start a CEO Academy? So even Rihanna, the name CEO Academy was not my own creation. So it came from one of the clients that I closely work with. So when you
Right.
coach so many people, you begin to understand coaching is truly a magic. Why? Because I've been training people for the last 20 years now, and I might have trained 1,000 people in an organization versus I coach one individual in the same organization. And I could sense the impact was multifolds. So I realized that the things that executives and senior leaders are not able to change or transform in a normal training program, because in trainings you're trying to bring your best face forward and you're not opening up. You're not showing your vulnerabilities. Whether in the executives that I coach today, they all go to INSEAD, they got to go to IMDs and Howards, and there with the other colleagues around, they try to prove that how brilliant they are. But you are an executive coach. You understand it. We all have blind spots. We all have vulnerabilities.
True.
We all have our own apprehensions and fears and even
Absolutely.
anxieties. So we want someone who provides us with a safe space to be able to bring those problems and challenges and some of those roadblocks, but we don't find any. So I heard and I experienced that as an executive coach, those chief executives, they were bringing everything. I've seen some of the finest CEOs, literally. I'm not a therapist, though I'm an organizational psychologist, but I never even claim to be a counselor. But I've seen those executives even crying in front of me when they were touching upon some of those deepest worries and challenges that keep them up late at night. So I realized that coaching was a massive opportunity for me to be able to make a difference in their lives and be able to produce those measurable positive changes in their personality, in their behaviors, and more importantly, in their leadership. And you change one leader, and the impact is phenomenal in the entire organization. And I've seen and experienced, and I feel blessed sharing this with you here. That I walk into an organization and the CXOs and the senior leaders, they would come, hug me, and say, "Thank you." And I say, "Why?" And they say, what you have done to this guy?" Meaning the chief executive. "This guy has changed." So I realized that the tools and the frameworks and the techniques and the skills that I've been using to make this kind of transformations happen in organizations, why do I just keep them to my own self? Why can't I teach those skills, those frameworks, those tools, those processes to a number of people so that the transformation that I'm witnessing, it doesn't end with me, it continues. So Global Coach Certification Program is my legacy project because I strongly believe producing one coach, one right coach means the opportunity to impact at least the lives of 1,000 leaders. So that's what motivates me.
Excellent. Great. Inspirational, I would say. And if we talk about like, certifications, coaching certifications, particularly, world flooded with, coaching certifications.
Mhm.
What makes GCCP, Global Coach Certification Program, not just another program, but the program?
Yeah. So let me again quickly reference back to your question number two.
Okay.
So why did I, what kind of a gap did I notice? Right?
Yeah,
Let him go now.
yeah.
Because this conversation I've learned from some of the finest people in the world. So this conversation is not about persuading people or asking them to sign up for the program. I'm Allah has been very kind on me. I think I'm beyond this task of no, I've been persuading people. I've been, I never liked, persuading and selling, but I did and very successfully, Alhamdulillah. But now I feel responsibility. My program is only for the people who have made a firm commitment already to be able to become coaches. So this conversation, to me, is an opportunity for them to build clarity. Now, if you notice on one side of the spectrum, you find ICF certified coaches, and the process is rigorous, it is authentic, it is highly structured, and it's long term. It involves a lot of commitment, assignments, etc., etc. On the other side, you notice coaching programs which will last only for a day or maybe two. Quick fix thing, you get the certificate right at the end of those 1 or 2 day training programs. You might have noticed that the programs offered in the market sometimes they're about learn how to become a coach, mentor, and counselor. So, coaching, mentoring, and counseling skills, all three of them in a single, maybe 1 or 2 day training program. So, I realize that these programs by, say, ICF or ICF's recommended institutes, they are highly expensive, highly structured, highly expensive. And then there are programs which are relatively cheaper or very cheap, and you get a quick certification, and yet you continue to struggle for the rest of your life because this certification does not offer you any credentials. And on top of it, it does not give you the capability or even the credibility to be able to coach the right people, people who can possibly afford to give you the money. So, this certification, even if you get it, does not help you move even an inch. And you and I, we have seen people who gotten those certificates and yet they have zero practice. They might claim to be coaches, but remember the first sentence that I taught you guys when you were part of the batch in Global Coach Certification Program. I still remember at a Pearl Continental Hotel, I opened with this slide. If you don't have a client, you're
You're
not,
not a coach. Yeah,
right?
I
So
remember that.
I invested my life creating a program which is as credentialed as ICF, which is as rigorous as ICF, totally structured, intense, requires a lot of commitment, but at the same time is not as expensive as ICF. And two, it does not give you a quick certificate, but it handholds you. And it provides you an opportunity to be able to go back to the marketplace and confidently claim two things. One, I know what the coaching is. And if I put you, and for that matter, any one of those 350 executive coaches that I've personally produced, I can confidently say that your knowledge is as good as any coach has done ICF certification. All those 350 executive coaches that I've been able to personally train in terms of their knowledge and clarity of concepts, and if they see a coaching demo, they'll be able to immediately spot what the coach is, what a potential coach is doing right or whatever is not being done right. So their concepts on coaching are absolutely clear. So they will not only be able to coach right, but also be able to pitch themselves right. So they have the business skills as well, how to actually create a business around coaching. So that's the gap.
Wonderful. Right. And why do you believe coaching is no longer just a profession, but a calling in today's world?
Excellent. Now you see, coaching to me is not a profession.
Mm.
Coaching is not a half in, it's a full in. So you can't just half-heartedly enter into the field of coaching. It's a full-time thing. It's not a side gig,
True.
right? And this is exactly what you did. You left JS Bank, an ideal job that many people today in the marketplace, they dream to get that kind of a job. You left it. Why? Ask, tell me why. I'm asking yourself.
Because, of course, I was seeing, a big scope in front of me, growth.
Yeah. Not
Yeah.
just the scope. A lot of things would have a lot of scope. Acting has a lot of scope. Being a
But I
freelancer.
feel like
Yeah.
I was feeling stuck, and there was no purpose. The sense of purpose was missing there, and the growth was missing there, and the connectivity with the people when you actually
Yeah.
want to serve the nation. As I mentioned in the beginning as well, that it's not just a profession; it's kind of legacy that you just
Yeah.
want to build, as you also mentioned in it. So yeah, that's something.
To me, coaching is one of the most selfless professions in the world
Excellent.
because you
True.
sit in a conversation with somebody And the first and the foremost decision that you make is that this conversation is not about you. And this conversation is about the person who sits in front of you.
Mm.
I understand you get paid for it, but you forget about yourself. You have no agendas. And one of the toughest things for you would be to stop adding value, especially when you are a senior and seasoned leader. You have done it all yourself. You've been this chief of a top organization, and now you transition into becoming a coach. And the guy who is in front of you totally stuck in a situation that you have dealt 200 times.
True.
And yet, instead of telling them what to do, you hold your horses and you allow the other person to be able to find their own insights, not by pressurizing them, not by just simply saying, "What do you think?" Not creating that unnecessary tension in the conversation where the other person feel obligated or pressured to be able to come up with an answer, but engaging, and that's the art that we teach, engaging them in the conversation where the person is able to see what they've not been able to see. And that's the real art. And it's what we teach. Uh, because the other day I was listening to one of those beautiful lectures by Julie Starr, one of
Hmm.
my favorite coaching teachers. By the way, she's the one who endorsed my book also. So there was a time when I used to read her books, and came a time when she endorsed mine. And I'm lucky to be
Nice.
able to stay in touch with her and constantly have those meaningful conversations. She
Hmm.
teaches coaching is a conversation,
Hmm.
like any conversation. The conversations that you have with your friends and colleagues, we keep having those conversations all day. But the difference of those two conversations, an ordinary conversation and a coaching conversation, is in one word, and that is impact. The impact that the conversation creates on the other person. So, how do you do that? By being totally selfless, by showing up as someone who does not have a hidden agenda, someone who does not add, and I'm using a deliberate word, unnecessary value to the conversation. And somebody who does not bring perfection to the conversation, but brings presence to the conversation. And that's why this coaching is, to me, not just a profession, it's a calling. And if you do not feel that you have that true calling, don't just get inspired by the big fee that many executive coaches charge, or the social status that you've been able to acquire, or the media presence that attracts you. If that is your fundamental reason to become a coach, I don't think you're the right person to join the profession. Yeah, sorry.
Great. Great. So I would say all the people out there who want to become coaches, know what is your, true calling to if you just want to become a coach. It's not just about the glamour, maybe, or being on the media probably.
Yeah.
So actually get to know your calling.
Sure.
Excellent. Great. And if I ask you, how does becoming a certified coach
Mhm.
help professionals step into greater purpose, especially those feeling stuck in their careers or leadership journeys?
A very difficult question. So many a times you would be in the 50th year of your life and you may still not understand what your purpose is. And
True.
you could be the chief executive of a company. You could be living a dream life and having a dream job, and might be living an ideal life in by the criteria of so many people. Coaching, on the other hand, is an opportunity for you as an executive coach and for people who get coached to be able to develop clarity. We as coaches are thinking partners. I repeat, we do nothing, but the executives that I coach, I act as a thinking partner with them. I help, we basically co-think, right? I provide an opportunity for them to be able to access the areas of their mind, brain, whatever you call it, that they've never been able to access and find out and dig deeper. And when you come back, you have something in your hand. Call them insights, which were already inside you, but you have not been able to access the parts of your brain and a part of you, uh, and you've been totally blinded, or there could be blocks, there could be walls. So I think if your potential is a wall, or there's possibly or potentially a wall in between you and your potential, coaching is the key that allows you to unlock the lock and be able to break the wall and be able to access. So, metaphorically, there's a lot of fog in front of us, all of us, and we have very limited visibility. If this is the distance between your ability to see, this is the wall. What do we call it? The visibility range during the fog. Sometimes it's very, very low, right? And if the visibility is low, sometimes the even the flights get cancelled. You can't take the car on the road. Motorways are blocked because there's no visibility. So coaches provide tools to diffuse the fog and to be able to bring the clarity. So when executives, be it executive coaches or the actual executives that they coach, when none of them have fog in front of them, they will have more visibility. And when there's visibility, when there is clarity, speed automatically accelerates.
True.
So the road might have 120 speed limit and you are driving at maybe 5 or 10 kilometers per hour because you don't have the visibility. So a fundamental reason why executives and chief executives and the top leaders are not able to achieve what they have the potential to achieve is because they're not clear. They wouldn't accept. Rehana, they will never accept because they have to create a very positive impression in front of people in the organization, outside the organization. You meet them in conferences, you meet them in seminars, and the same people that I've been inspired by, and I'm still inspired. But like all humans, they have their own vulnerabilities, they have their own challenges, and sometimes you see a weaker side of them. So here you see me very confident and kind of wising and teaching and inspiring. But in front of my coach, I'm a different person. There I bring my concerns, my problems, my roadblocks, my setbacks, my disappointments. And if I don't share them with my coach, they wouldn't be able to provide me the vision that allows me to see through the fog and ultimately be able to accelerate my pace toward my direction. And I must add, toward my right direction. Sometimes, even if the fog is removed and there's no visibility problem, I might notice this is not the right road that I'm walking on. I might make a switch and change my road. Yeah, this is what coaching does.
Absolutely perfect. If I ask you what transformation have you seen in the lives of those who have gone through the, Global Code certification program? I am the witness of that, of course, I know it.
Yeah.
But could you share a compelling story on this?
It will be unfair to just pick up one story. There are so many examples, and I'm deliberately being very reluctant to pick up names because the names that I did not take,
Okay, okay,
they're
without a
going to
name,
make
you
a
can
lot of
mention
trouble
just a
to me.
story.
But every day,
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes post about their success stories on my media.
Mhm.
Sometimes people show up bringing beautiful gifts, sending me flowers and sending me those bakery items and cakes and fruits and whatnot. This is one way of for them to acknowledge the change we've been able to make in their lives. There are people in dozens out of those 350 people. Yes, there are unsuccessful stories as well. And I'm not here to highlight the ones who became very successful. We must also talk about the ones who did not make it, despite investing a lot of money in this certification, right? And that's my responsibility to talk about them also. And the difference between the ones who made it, there are people in my network who did not have the capability to even speak in front of one individual. Only today, and I'm reluctant to take names, I saw a post where the same guy in a smaller city of Pakistan had gathered around 100 women and he was teaching them, inspiring them. And I saw he was wearing the exact red tie that I'm wearing. He was wearing a beautiful suit. And this guy used to earn less than 30,000 rupees a month. And he was the organization where I went last night, Pepsi. He met me there. And he was what? He was at the lowest level in the organization, the lowest level. When you earn less than 30, it means you are in the lowest category. It was which year? 2017, right? And the guy did not have the ability to speak. He had some inherent speaking problem. Nobody could even understand if he would speak. And today, this guy has a business where he's earning over $10,000 a month consistently for the last 6, 7 years. I remember when he joined Possibilities office, he didn't have a laptop. He didn't have transport. So my office, they were kind. They gave him a motorbike and they gave him a second-hand laptop. And today, this guy, I recently met him, not recently, 3, 4 years back. I was in his city and I was on the road in my car with my family. And on the left side of the road, I saw a guy in a red Honda City car. It was him, right?
Very nice.
And now he's selling these courses, including mine. So he took all the materials that I created, gave like we gave everyone. He compiled all those materials and he very successfully presented those courses to the global coaches. So many of the struggling coaches globally, or even some successful coaches, they ask him to give them materials, right? So he's been able to create a business. He employs like 15, 20 people. So there's so many success stories, but this one, it was worth mentioning. So earning less than 30 to be able to earn, he told me, sir, I've been able to earn around 5 million in a month also.
Very nice, for
Right?
sure.
No, many
Mhm.
people who are listening to us, 5 million a month is a serious money, right? And then there are people, and this guy was, in terms of his beginning, was probably at the lowest level of all the coaches that I've ever trained to become certified. This guy would probably be at the lowest point, and he made it. But then there were people who were already here, earning 1 million rupees a month, being CHROs and directors and high profile individuals, having no financial problem. They didn't make it. Despite having a certificate, they were struggling. Nobody was hiring them. Why? Because they never tried building their brand. They never tried positioning themselves. So you asked me previously, what is the difference? What is the USP? What differentiates? So most of the programs, they give you the certificate. Our mine is not about handing over a certificate to you. To me, I hand over a passport to you, a passport that allows you to go global and be able to sit in front of anyone, anywhere in the world, and be able to have a conversation with them, and they can test you in terms of your knowledge, your ability to understand coaching concepts, your ability to have a conversation with somebody who understands coaching. It's like an actor talking to an actor, they both understand. A surgeon talking to a surgeon, they will understand the terminologies. And if one of them is not certified, the other will understand immediately. So my USP is that not only do we give them a certificate, we give them a business plan. We give them a roadmap. We give them a recipe for success. Because, and many times when I offer one certification, like I offer training certification also. So the people who did coaching, they loved what I did for them and they wanted to be in my training program also. And I refused. I said, no, 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 you don't need another certificate. No, that's another punchline that I keep repeating in my training programs. You don't need another certificate to make your life more successful and be more visible in the marketplace. You need to practice what you already know. So if what you already know, what I've learned in this book, this beautiful book by Bernie Brown, whatever I've learned from this book, I've never tried using it. I'm just buying another one. I shouldn't buy another one, but first be able to really understand and apply the concepts. So at the end of the day, this coaching wouldn't help you become successful because to all the coaches, I gave the same framework, I gave the same plan, I gave the same templates, same materials, same tools, same attention, and some became very successful and the others don't. No rocket science, the only difference is the ones who became successful, they invested their time, energy, resources in building their coaching plan.
Great,
And
great. Very beautifully explained because I was just thinking, my next question is going to be what is, that thing missing? I mean, because of course, at the end of the day, you are providing everything, whatever you know in the coaching certification. But what could be the reason that some of the people are getting, becoming successful overnight and
yeah,
some of them are not? So here you
not
go.
overnight. Nobody
I
became,
mean, even if it takes time.
sorry, Rehana. In coaching, we play with the words. We pick up
Yeah,
words.
that's true.
Nobody, including me, became successful overnight. It took me around 20 years to get accepted at a CEO level.
Oh.
Nobody understands how many times I was rejected. I was not able to defend I was a coach
Hmm.
because my knowledge was not right, my concepts were not clear, and people never embarrassed me. I salute them, but they would understand. The ones who were the real surgeons would understand I'm a struggling one. The ones who went to the finest certifying institute and the one who didn't go anywhere until I made a commitment. If I really want to be a coach, I got to learn from the best in the world instead of just pretending that I know everything and not really investing. There's a very seasoned coach in Pakistan. His name is uh, Sir Bakhtiar Khaja. So him and I, we know each other for the last 20 plus years now. And I always admired him when he was the chief of HR at the Bengal Fala. And he transitioned into becoming a coach. And for like good 4 5 years, I kept asking him for the information, for the path, for the process. And every time was so kind, so loving. It would explain everything. And I would still not take the step because either I was not willing to invest money, right? I wanted to look for a shortcut because there were people who were willing to accept me as a coach. They were not challenging me much because of my Rehana credentials as a trainer because I was already successful in training. So transitioning into coaching, I will just transport some of my credibility from the business of coaching, sorry, business of training to the coaching. And I don't need to invest. And I'm not using the word invest. I probably be thinking I'm not willing to spend money. I might use the word spend. Or maybe deep down, I was also thinking the word waste money. Why to waste money on acquiring an expensive certification? And even if I was willing, I had the money, but I was not willing to make. an investment. Two, even if I was willing to make an investment in terms of money, I thought it's going to take a lot of time. I don't have the time because I'm a busy trainer. So it's very difficult to be able to take classes in the middle of the night when probably you should be asleep, or presenting your work. Like in a normal certification, you don't have to be coaching somebody in the presence of supervisors or having to submit that document to a very strict supervisor who's gonna actually crush you after watching that video or demo video, and probably gonna disapprove your certification. So this fear of rejection and this feeling that I do not have the time would be some of those barriers that there were kind of not allowing me to become the coach that I am today. Until I made a firm decision and I started figuring out who is the finest coach in the world. And I thought, instead of going, that was my philosophy. And I'm responsible for it for my own self. It's a personal philosophy. I thought instead of going to an institute that teaches ICF credentialed material, why can't I go to the one who is the best in the world, the most expensive one, the most admired one, the most trusted one, the most respected one? So, of all the questions that I asked, the answer was only one: Dr. Marshall Goldsmith. So I said, I'm going to give anything and everything to be able to learn from him. And see, the investment has paid off so well. I invested serious amount of money, but I can tell you safely, I might have earned many hundred times or many thousand times more money than what I invested in coaching, because that certification allowed me to be able to pitch myself anywhere globally. Yeah.
Brilliant. Right. And if I ask you, what outcomes, personal, professional, financial, can participants realistically expect from global board certification program?
Mm. I believe they shouldn't expect much if they're not willing to invest high energy into it. So high
Brilliant.
expectations would mean
Mm.
then bringing high level of commitment, high level of execution,
Mm.
high level of practicing the tools that we teach. So you only expect, meaning your level of expectations should match your level of commitment. So the more commitment you have, more you can expect. So primarily one or two things. You would be expecting to become more influential. Yeah. So if you really want to be more influential, you got to actually start putting in more effort to practice the tools that we teach you how to be influential, how to build your credibility. So you need to write on coaching, not from ChatGPT, not by the AI tools, but your original thoughts. And people can instantly see on a LinkedIn whether this post is created by the LinkedIn, by you, or by some AI tools. So you bring fresh perspectives to the coaching process and you instantly establish your credibility and you hence increase your influence. So many times I walk and I get to meet people randomly and they make reference to the stuff that I create on LinkedIn. So you might notice around over a year ago, I made a firm commitment that every single day I will write something on the LinkedIn. And it doesn't have to be something that I copy paste from one of my books. It is so easy that I give this book, the PDF copy, to somebody and ask them to just copy paste some material from the book. And initially I did it. I wouldn't hesitate accepting initially. I thought this is the right way of doing. But around 2 years ago, I made a firm commitment. I'm not going to use anything that I've already written. and I'm gonna write new, freshest content every single day. And at the beginning of this year, it was part of my New Year resolution. And the credit goes to your boss, Ubaid Zia.
Okay.
So Ubaid
How
Zia
come?
has been asking me for the last 3 years, so can you give me 100 videos for the LinkedIn? And this
Yeah,
idea
he said
of
this to me
creating
as well.
100 videos
Yeah.
was devastating for me. I thought I will never have the time to create 100 videos. I couldn't imagine creating one. But then one idea, and this is one of the tools that executives who are transitioning into coaches, they possibly can use. And the idea was that he said, it doesn't have to be more than a 1 minute video. I said, wow, I can possibly create a 1 minute video, not a big deal. And he says, Qaiser, you don't have to worry about the angles or the lighting or the voice quality. It just has to be a video. So on this table sitting here, I took my phone out and I just recorded a video, just like this. And I gave it to Muni when I put it on LinkedIn, and it worked. And then for the next 90 days, every single day, I posted one video, one minute video every single day, sharing my latest insights on leadership, on coaching. And when we started CEO Academy, I started making videos. I started developing those series. So everything was in my laptop, everything was in my mind, and I keep taking a lot of notes. So it became so easy for me. So coming back, if you want to build, if you wanted to expect high, you got to establish your credibility, meaning you increase your influence. When I walk into mm, restaurants or airports or airlines, or I'm sitting in a lounge, senior executives who really matter to the business world and they matter to my business also. They come to me and they say, we watch your golf leadership series. It was fantastic. And these are the people, Rehana, they will never comment on your LinkedIn, right? They will never even press the like button. Seasoned people. And I thought all the effort that I'm making probably is unnoticed. But now I begin to realize that people are watching. They are seeing,
True.
even they pick up sentences
True.
from the recordings and they give it to me
Yes.
and they share. Even
Yes.
it happened last night. I was at the Pepsi's event where they got this Amesa's Bottler of the Year award.
Mhm.
I get to meet a lot of people, and no exaggeration. Everybody who met me, everybody, one thing was common. We follow you on the LinkedIn and we love your videos. Somebody was referring to the future series videos and the first time CEOs videos and the struggles of a CEO, the golf series. They were they were like making references, which is only possible if you have seen something. So the coaching ROI would be you increase your influence. This is your expectation. So expectation is your influence will be increased. And I took a lot of time just talking about the influence. I'll try to restrict myself. And the
That's all right.
second is you should expect yourself to make money from coaching. And if you are not making money, you are making me sad. You are making me feel regret. Why did I accept you? So
Right. Right.
you should expect to make money, and sometimes you expect to make more money than you're currently making in your full-time job. And if you're not making that money, and again, it wouldn't happen overnight, meaning it's like sowing the seeds, it's like harvesting a crop. So you sow the seed, and you can't expect that the wheat is going to come out on the third week. It has a specific time, right? So it's going to take some time. But when the time is going to come, so for instance, the one wheat or rice seed that you sowed is going to give you multiples. My personal experience. Yeah. And the third thing that you expect this program or any coaching program for that matter, when you become a coach, gives you a lot of fulfillment, a lot of sense of satisfaction. Yeah.
Mhm.
Sorry for a lengthy answer.
That's all right. People want to hear you. People want to, make their concepts clear. So it's worth sharing all the, insights. Right. And what do you think? What mindset shift must occur before, someone decides to become a world-class coach?
I think the first shift is you got to believe that people are capable
Hmm.
and people are resourceful. So many times when you're a business leader, you have learned one thing, not trusting someone's ability. And I'm saying with a lot of responsibility. There are very few leaders in the business world. And most of the leaders, their number one job is to be able to get things done from others. They have
Hmm.
two jobs. One is getting things done from others, getting
Hmm.
results. But at the same time, they have another responsibility, and that is developing those people. And most of the managers, I'm not using the word leaders. If someone is a leader, a true leader, they'll have these two passions. One, passion for the results and passion for developing people. But since most of the business managers these days, they have just one passion, results, results, and results. So when they turn into executive coaches, they might still focus on their own thing, results for me, my
True.
business.
True.
So this shift of believing that people have resourcefulness and people have potential, and there's a lot which is still undiscovered in the people that you coach. So when you begin to believe about your ability to make other people realize that they have greater potential, they have the capability, and they have the resourcefulness. I think this is the fundamental shift. The second shift is you stop seeing the world with your own lens. So, in a coaching situation, when you coach somebody, you got to take, like, metaphorically, I was wearing these glasses, but when I enter into this conversation, I removed them and put them aside on a table. And मैं यहाँ लटका देता हूँ. So you're able to. Oh, gone, gone. Uh,
I
Recovered.
hope
So when
recovered.
required, you can recover them. But in a coaching conversation, no, this people wouldn't forget this. So you leave your own lens aside and you look at a situation from the other person's perspective. And you get into their head and see what they are seeing. And you do not force what you see. That is not coaching, it is mentoring. And then you remove the fog. Not you remove the fog. You actually enable them to remove their own fog and build more clarity. But the starting point is to be able to stop having your own perspective and stop using your own lens in a coaching situation. Yeah, it will be great if you are mentoring somebody. But for coaches, it is so difficult not to add value in a conversation. So, especially Rihanna, when managers and leaders become coaches, for all their lives, they've been adding value in meetings. They've been speaking, they've been talking, presenting. So it's so difficult for them to take a back seat and not add value. So this is the biggest shift, a mental shift that they find very difficult to be able to make it happen. Yeah.
Perfect. And if I ask you, like, why to call it Global Code Certification Program, I mean, the reason we are doing this session, how
Yeah.
does this program prepare participants for a global influence, not just,
Very
local
good question.
environment?
Very good question. One,
Thank you.
one, not because we want to oversell and oversize what we are offering, but
Mhm.
just to create this, again, a mindset shift that you're not becoming a coach for your town or for your city or for your own country. If you like, if you're an actor, you're not telling I'm an actor only for Pakistan. You're open to take up a movie in Hollywood as well, right? If you're a singer, you are willing to perform at any stage. Now, if you are Rihanna good at singing, You could be at any global stage and deliver your song. So, what I'm indirectly suggesting and trying to position in the minds of the people is this idea that they are being trained to become a global coach.
Hmm.
It means they got to go global. Probably as a coach, they will go global maybe 5 years from now when globally they are, even I'm not globally known to every coach, there would be still be people who don't know me.
Hmm.
And probably only maybe 1 or 2% organizations would know me. So I'm kind of a s- global coach at a small scale. But it doesn't mean I am global. It means my ability to coach people globally is activated. So this program is enabling people to be able to open up their minds and change their horizons and be able to change someone in Australia. The next day you are coaching somebody in Uganda. Other day you are coaching somebody in Morocco. Then you go to Oman and you're going to Switzerland. Anywhere, anyone can access you and you should be able to coach them. And of course, when we run the formal training, we help people understand the cultural sensitivities as well and how to tweak your coaching processes, not the framework, but the processes according to the specific needs of the region and the country that you're coaching people in.
Hmm.
And the second connotation of this global name is because the materials that we are presenting, they're not just localized. They are uh, they're global. And two reasons. One, I've learned from the best in the world. So my own horizon was kind of enhanced. And I knew that if I create something, it doesn't have to be just for a local community. So the content and the process and the framework and the methods, everything is positioned to coach people anywhere in the world. And two, since the people that I work with, my fellow coaches, um, most of them, they've seen it and they loved it. And you might have seen on my book, there's an endorsement by Dave Aldrich. And anyone who is in the HR community would understand Dave Aldrich is the father of modern HR. And people like them, they don't write a line on a book or on a concept until they really believe in it, right? And these people are the ones that I'm sorry to say this word, but you can't commercially engage them. You can't pay them the money and get an endorsement. They are beyond these, you know, things. But Dr. Marshall Goldsmith was very kind to be able to endorse the model for this book that you see at the back. He's written the foreword of this book. And you probably will be happy to see Dr. Marshall Goldsmith in his lifetime might have written the books. He's written like dozens of books, but he's written very few forewords, maybe five, six, seven of them total. Out of those five, six, seven, two are mine. So first he did the forward for Tick Tick Dollar, and then he did the forward, a forward by Dr. Marshall Goldsmith, and he did the forward for this book as well, right? So and that's one reason that I call it a global coach certification program. But primarily, it will allow you to be able to take clients anywhere globally. Yeah.
Okay. And how does GCCP, Global Coach Certification Program, equip coaches to lead in diverse multicultural environments?
Very good question. And I've just been referring to this in the last answer. So summarizing all the concepts that we teach, but particularly coaching evolves around the DARE coaching framework. So direction, analysis, roadmap, and empowerment. So any conversation, the coaching conversation that takes place for 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever the time is, the conversation has a structure which follows this DARE coaching model. This model is endorsed by Dr. Marshall Goldsmith. But more importantly, if I see the whole spectrum of things, This coaching conversation that takes place between the executive and the coach is probably only 20% of the total coaching thing. And in my coaching certification, when it used to be a 9 month journey, I used to spend 6 months only teaching this coaching, 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 coaching. So you need to master how to create impact in those 30, 40, 50 minutes. That is the essence of the coaching process. But coaching process is not just this. When you coach an executive in an organization, there are so many other processes involved. So you're going to have like 10 or 12 of these segments. So session one, session two, session three, but there's a lot of stuff which is happening in between those sessions. And those are the processes that you need to customize to the cultures, to the organizations, to the environment where the executive is operating. And you need to understand that the executive is not sitting somewhere in isolation. So I'm coaching an executive, for instance, he's got a boss who's the chairman of the board. And then he's reporting in certain committees where other board members are kind of acting as his bosses. And then this guy has another regional boss somewhere else sitting. For Pakistani organizations, you need to understand the context is totally different. When I coach an executive or a CEO from MNC, in multinational organizations, structures are totally, totally different. And then you got to understand that there is a chief of HR in MNCs, they're very influential. In Pakistani organizations, sometimes they wouldn't have much say. And these decisions will be coming from the board directly. And they might be just taking into confidence the HR person just to uh, complete the process. And I've seen there are organizations, even Pakistani organizations, the HR leaders are highly influential. And they will be having the courage to go to the chief executive, introducing me and saying, looking into their eyes, eyeball to eyeball, boss, you need coaching. I brought Qaiser Abbas. He's the right coach for you. Have a conversation. And if you don't like Qaiser, I'm going to arrange two other coaches for you as well. And then creating that environment where they're able to influence the board also. Now, as an executive coach, you need to understand the whole playing ground. You need to understand how many stakeholders, the HR, the chief executive, and the board. And if you're coaching leaders at a different level, say CXOs, and you're coaching leaders in some organizations alongside with me, I'm coaching the CEO, and you and your coaches are coaching their CXOs, you understand those dynamics. So if you are not taught those dynamics and you're not practically taken through those processes, right? One of the advantages of GCCP is that whenever you get a coaching assignment, my future coaches, I am there to support you. You know that today we sent a pre-coaching assessment to a top executive in an organization, and that is the newest pre-coaching assessment that I created only last night. And I didn't ask you to send the one that we keep sending, and we keep changing it, right? For all the five coaches were coaching six leaders in an organization. You guys were getting access to my latest materials. Even for the coaching report, I give you my recent template. So that is the value that we add. And generally, you get a certificate and you are leaving that organization that gives you the certificate, then there's hardly any connection and there's no one to handhold you. There's no one when you are actually getting access to a concert, some organization invites you to perform in Oslo and you don't know what to do, right? But here we go with you. Sometimes we give you our musicians, sometimes we give you our lighting system, sometimes we give you probably a new song, sometimes we give you the music at the back. So I believe the processes they're they have to be there, but at the same time, I don't teach this thing in the first stage to the coaches that I train. But once you understand what we call the fundamentals, only then, Rehanna, you can improvise. For example, you start learning how to drive a car. So, for the first few weeks or even months, you'll be very carefully understanding the fundamentals in the basic process. And then comes a time someday you can drive with one hand and you can have a cup of coffee in your hand and you can make certain adjustments in your speed and certain things which are prohibited. You probably can take the risk of doing them as well, right? So, first, you understand the basics as an executive coach, and then you fine tune those processes and frameworks, and also you custom design them or you kind of align them with the culture and the region that you're coaching people in. So sometimes I skip a process or two. I can't go into details. I'll share that in GCCP training.
So, so join the program, I would say.
Yeah.
Right. Though you have been mentioning time and again during this session, what are the three most important things someone should know before deciding to enroll in the program? Briefly, if you can tell us about that.
Yeah, difficult question again. I appreciate you for asking very intelligent questions.
Thank you.
One, I think the fundamental question, do you want to be a coach? If you don't want to be a coach, then you don't need to go for the next two things. So,
Mm,
do you really want to be a coach? Right? Second question that they should be asking themselves is, are you committed to the coaching process? Because I want to be, for instance, an actor, right? I want to be a footballer. बहुत होगी acting. I want to be a footballer because I'm fascinated by Ronaldo. But then I want to be a footballer, no problem. But the first 2, 3 days I went to the ground and I saw the routine. I said, no, thank you. So you come to us and you begin to see the things that you need to do in order to become a coach. And then your want is disappeared.
true.
And
Mhm.
the third one, you went through the difficult process.
Mhm.
You're a certified footballer, but no club is going to take you, and you're not going to get any paid games. And you're an excellent footballer, Rihanna, but you left your job because being a footballer required hours and hours of practice. But you're sending your proposal to different clubs. They're inviting you for the test, and nobody's hiring you. And then suddenly one club hires you for $128 million, and your life changes. And there are so many stories of people who were gone, lost, forgotten. They come back and they make it again. Versus some people who will get a certificate and never ever show up in the marketplace because they think they are too big. And this for the senior people that I've trained to become coaches. They thought we are too big to post do the postings on social media and reclaim our identity and doesn't look nice. I can't do this. And there were like 2, 3 rejections and their entire enthusiasm was gone. So three stages. One, do you really want to be a coach? Question one. And if at this stage you are eliminated, you are eliminated. Two, do you have the commitment to go through the process? Yes, they complete it. But the third stage, which is the most difficult one, here you're not getting a coaching contract, nobody's hiring you, and now you start developing your brand, you start positioning yourself, you start working on your website, you build your profile. And many coaches, even today, they don't have a profile, they don't have a website, they don't have a coaching proposal ready. Why? Because it all requires a lot of time, and against putting in all this effort, there is no instant result, there is no reward. So, since there is no reward, they don't do it. And since they don't do it, the time passes by, and a year has gone, and 2 years have gone, and others people are succeeding, they are minting money through coaching. And this guy is still saying, Kaiser, what should I do? Do you have some assignment for me? And even I make a recommendation and you make a recommendation for them. And they don't get hired. Why? Because they don't have the fundamentals. Why? Because they've never made an effort to even create their own profile, right? And they're easily rejected by their counterparts. Sometimes the people who reject them, they are junior to them in terms of number of years in the organization. These are the bitter realities. So, do you want it? Do you have the commitment? And do you have the patience and the resilience to go through the grind? And I must say it here, minimum 3 years. If you can't commit 3 years, don't come to my certification.
Great.
Yeah.
And thank you for being, so much vocal about, this kind
Mhm.
of concept, I would say. Here, another question comes into my mind. There are so many people who
Mhm.
say that they want to coach, but they don't feel ready. What would you like to say to them?
Mhm. I'll say get ready. This is the shortest answer to any question that you ask me today.
Right. And if someone's on the fence today, what should they reflect on before making the decision to join GCCP? Though you have covered it, entirely in the previous question as well. But is there something else that you would like to share with the audience?
I'll say don't hang on. Just just choose a side.
Okay.
I'm not here to
Right.
convince anyone. Yeah.
That's great.
I'm not
Why?
gonna persuade anyone.
Yeah,
You got to make your own decision. You do your research.
of
If you're
course.
buying a house, I shouldn't
Hmm.
be the one who is convincing you. You need to know what your budget is, what kind of place you want to live in, right? What neighborhood, what style of the house, what size. And if coaching is something that resonates with you,
Hmm.
wouldn't be on the fence. I've been on the fence. Okay, let me little soften it.
Yeah.
Don't be on the fence for too long. I've been on the fence a little too long to make a decision.
Okay.
Choose a side.
Okay, perfect. And Kesa, if I asked you, like, if you had only 60 seconds to speak directly to someone, considering the certification, what would you say to ignite their journey right now?
I'll say don't join the certification.
All right.
I'm going to make your life miserable because over the period of time, I've become a tougher teacher.
Yeah, that I know.
I'm not here to please you. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm not disrespectful. I'm not rude.
Hmm.
But I'm learning to be a little tougher because if most of the people who will join the certification, they wouldn't be students. They would be serious professionals. And even if like in your 30s or 40s, you're not committed, you're not serious, then don't join my certification. Because coaching is, as I said earlier, it's not a side gig. It's a serious responsibility. And this possibly can change your life. Because the best thing that you're rewarded with as a coach is not the money. It is the person that you become in the process of coaching executives. Now imagine ever since I started coaching chief executives, I became a very different person. I become more grounded. I know so much about organizations. In certain organizations where I coach, it's like initially I used to feel so um, happy and I used to feel so valued that I know what is happening in this organization, what is happening in the board, who is going to be the new investor. And there were certain organizations where I knew so much about them, even the media was talking about them. And I had to keep my mouth shut. That is part of my professional training. So you keep it confidential. And even some people in your closest circle who would kind of know that you are coaching their chief executive, they would ask me and they would make statements and assumptions. And I would sometimes kind of feel the temptation to tell them, oh, I know it. What you are saying is not right. This is what is happening, right? So you become totally silent as if you know nothing. You say, and you even don't have the need of saying that I know, but I'm not going to tell you. So you become grounded, you become quiet, you become more humble. When you see chief executives tell you, yes, sir, you're a mirror to me publicly, or one chief executive, I hugely respect him. He once wrote me, he says, Kessler, talking to you brings out the best in me. And we were having a conversation. I wrote it down in my notes on my phone. And in
Hmm.
my lowest moments, I used to read that statement from him. And one of the chief executives, he said to me again publicly, he says, Kessler, you're a catalyst to us, right? So when you begin to hear this kind of acknowledgements and appreciation words, you you have two options. One is you become overconfident and you become arrogant and you become your ego begins to boost. But on the contrary, I think this is what I've learned, and I still keep learning. I still keep registering in some of the finest training programs. I recently attended one of the finest, I think it was 13-day program. I missed few of them because of my own work by coaching.com, and I bought the ticket and I keep investing in my own development. And it's a very humbling experience. So if you're not willing to work harder on yourself, and if you're not going to go deeper in your own self, uh, you're not you're not ready to be a coach. Because coaching, Rihanna, is allowing people to go deeper,
True.
right, in themselves. And you can only take someone deeper in themselves if you have had the experience of going deeper inside your own self. You can't actually take them deeper than the depth that you have personally experienced by yourself. So coaching build self-awareness. Not only you actually help build self-awareness as an executive coach in the lives of other people. Awareness and action, these are the two fundamentals, if you remember. So first you create awareness instead of telling, and then you inspire action. And not by telling them what to do, but they choose to take an action. So when the awareness and action combine, then impact is, you can hear the voice. Impact is automatic. So in order for you
Like that.
to make an impact in someone's life, you got to be ready to have that impact on
True.
life as well. So you give me 30
Abs-
seconds, I probably can take 300 minutes
Yeah.
emphasizing don't join my coaching certification until you are totally prepared and committed.
Absolutely. What a powerful and inspiring conversation this has been, Kaiser. Thank you for sharing
Mhm.
not just your wisdom, but your vision for what coaching truly means in today's world and how the Global Coach Certification Program is equipping leaders to rise. So I would like to thank you.
Oh, thank you as well
Yeah,
for asking very insightful questions. And
thank you so
can't
much.
imagine my delight seeing you rising to a level where you are interacting with some of the finest leaders. And wherever I go, I get to listen from people about you. They say there's a girl, Rehanna, the scarf girl. Yeah.
Wow.
And I did a
I did not
podcast
know
with her.
I'm that famous.
Yeah. So I must
Thank
appreciate you been on this path and you can vouch for it. You made an investment and today you charge us serious amount of money
Yeah.
by coaching.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. It's not just the money, it is the person that you have become. You were in a bank, you were on a good position, you are making good money. And probably know you see the impact of your work in the lives that you
Absolutely.
change. Yeah. So imagine you earn this certification at a certain amount in a financial sense. I did the same. And the impact that it's going to have on you is not just for a year. It's not a refrigerator, it's not a laptop or a phone. Um, Interestingly, the investment on this program uh, this year is less than the investment on an iPhone. And people wouldn't hesitate. They'll probably give one of their kidneys to buy the iPhone
Absolutely. Absolutely.
because they understand the value of it.
True.
But it's difficult for people to understand the value of the investment that they make in themselves. And his phone thing probably is going to go crap in the next few years, but this learning is going to be with you. That is one part
True.
of it, right?
True.
Two, this certification does not have an expiry, though I truly wish that I should put an expiry date also. But hopefully, very soon, I'll start putting an expiry and
Right.
come back and get it renewed. But your ability to coach people will be for a lifetime. So imagine you coach people for the next 5 years. And I'm just thinking, as I speak to you, totally unplanned. The investment that you make in this coaching certification would be, if you see it for in terms of impact in the next 5 years, probably your daily investment would be less than a cup of tea. I'm not even saying
True.
cup of coffee. So the money that you spend on a cup of tea and you continue to have that cup of tea for 5 years, probably this would cost you more than the certification. And yet people wouldn't make that investment in themselves. But for the iPhone, no problem. Or the LCD or the LED in your house, the big one, the 65 inches and 100 inches, no problem. And you and I know that the best investment that you make is in your own self.
True.
That requires a
Absolutely.
lot of courage. And I salute those 350 people who made this investment. I remember a woman who came to the program and she was going through a cancer treatment, can't reveal her identity. But instead of paying for her cancer treatment, she paid to us. But I never told anyone we returned her fee when we got to know. There was a lady, um, and when she joined the program, somebody was coaching the lady on a stage, and the lady told that she had to sell some of her gold, the only asset that she had at that time. And she had, when she had the money, she had an option to pay the fee for her children or to pay the rental for the apartment or pay for the coaching certification. And she paid for the coaching certification. And again, we returned the money. We said, we'll take it from you later because we are an organization that has a heart also.
Hmm.
So she says, no, I didn't reveal this information. She was like a very respectable woman. She said, I didn't share this to get your sympathies. I shared this because I had to tell the truth. And I said, since now I know, so you're not going anywhere. You pay the fee, you give the rent, we'll take the money from you. And then there was a man who showed me a slip, a bank slip. So when he took the money out to pay the fee, he was left with only, I think, 27 rupees or 327 rupees. And he says, but that was the happiest day of my life. The only problem was that he told me after a year when he was traveling with me to Sawat for a program that we were doing there.
Hmm.
And that day he revealed, and he had already become very successful. He says, I made that investment, and that one investment changed my life. So the thing is that if you want it, the question is whether you want it, whether you're committed to go through the process, and whether you are willing to go through the grind at least 1 year, and could go on for 3 years until you begin to get some rewards for the efforts that you make. And if you get the right support around you, and if you follow the process, probably you can get there quicker. And no shortcuts, Rihanna.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you so much once again for sharing so wonderful insights with us. And to all of you, watch it. If there's something stirring within you right now, that's not a coincidence. If you have ever felt that you're made for more, that your voice can transform others, or that you're being called to help people unlock their full potential, this is your invitation. So, GCCP is not just a course, it's a launch pad for coaches who want to play big, lead with purpose, and make a global impact. So, here's what the next step our team is ready to guide you through the enrollment process, of course, answer your questions, and help you take that first bold move. You'll find the link in the chat and description that I'll put when I'll be uploading this entire session. And thank you for showing up for yourself today. The world doesn't just need more coaches, it needs more powerful, conscious, and globally equipped ones. And we believe that could be you. So start the process. All the best.
Well done, Rihanna. Great opening,
Thank
great
you.
closing. You must be feeling so proud of yourself.
Thank you.
The
Thank you
person
so
that you have
much.
become.
Thank you. That means a lot. And once again, of course, the credit goes to you, I would say.
Credit goes to you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Still
Take
recording.
care of yourself. Thank
I
you. Bye
wouldn't steal
bye.
your credit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's so great of
Bye.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Allah's.
Thank you for being with us.
Yeah.